I'm Ian Heptinstall, Senior Pre-Sales Architect at LIMA. I'm going to be giving you an insight into the benefits of backup as a service and how LIMA can help you protect what matters to you most in today's digital economy. I'm often asked in customer meetings when discussing about backup as a service and backup strategies, what are the key benefits to my business? Now, these can vary on a case-by-case basis, but today, as we present our top 3 benefits, we see these as working for all of our customers. Now, I've worked in multiple IT teams, and since the dawn of time, backup management and backup operations have been a pain. From the early days of swapping tapes and taking tapes off-site and doing checks on a morning, on an evening, and at weekends, this is just not an efficient use of IT time. But up until recently, this was still the case for the majority of businesses. Now we have a way to try and improve on that efficiency of the IT team and free them up to be working more on business growth and digital transformation. LIMA BaaS enables the team to be freed up to work on these key business aims and add value outside of the day-to-day operations. Not only is it time lost on a day-to-day task, but time is lost during recovery operations. And with increased risks in ransomware attacks, there couldn't be a more damaging and real prospect of data loss. Now, the pressure is on the IT team and the security and execs to protect the business from such attacks, as this survey shows an increase in ransomware attacks in the last few years. Now, Thomas mentioned about making this session a bit more interactive, so I'd like to introduce our first poll. So all attendees, if you could answer, do you feel that you have an adequate protection against ransomware? And if you can be as honest as possible, we'll probably find that this leads to very much in line with market trend. Exactly that, yeah. So I mean, I could have predicted that before the results came up. That's what we're seeing, is we're confident maybe that our backups are there, or we're maybe not confident that we've got the security and the recovery capability, and that's pretty much what's come through to here today. So hopefully we can address some of them concerns around that within a backup as a service offering. As with any solution, cost is always an important factor of any purchase. Backup as a service is certainly no different. And our model is an OpEx operating model and provides real cost benefits from month 1. You only pay for what you consume, and then as your data scales, the costs are incremental without the need for any big CapEx spends or that sometimes daunting conversation with the CFO for additional unbudgeted funds. And as your data grows and you need to be protected, you are looking at availability. And data availability is very key to backup as a service. The key benefit of being able to access your data anytime, whether that be through your production systems being corrupted and you needing to access a recovery option, or just having that data somewhere safe and accessible should a real disaster occur. A good example of this is Office 365 data. Another survey polled by ESG showed that 1 in 4 businesses do not protect Office 365 data. But I think a more kind of scary review of this shows that 54% of people are actually reliant on Office 365 server availability and recovery services, so not true backup. So if we all be honest with ourselves, and we'll ask another question, is, oh, have we not got the question, Caroline? Oh, there we go. Yeah, are you actually protecting your Office 365 data? And if we again be honest around whether we're actually doing anything about this, or if we pass that off to Microsoft for them to deal with and give us the options, whether that be through legal hold or just the recycle bin features within SharePoint and Teams and Exchange Online. Now I'm expecting this to be higher. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's, yeah, exactly that. That's pretty much where we are. So we've got, I can't quite see the top figure, but yeah, 1 in 4 are saying that we are protecting it, and 54% are not protecting it. So yeah, if we ask the question around who is reliant on Office 365 or Microsoft services, then you'll probably find that that goes a bit more into the yes. So yeah.
Thanks, Ian. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan McKnight, Account Director at LIMA. We're just going to do a quick Q&A session here with Stephen Buckton, the Director of IT at Kite Packaging, so the attendees can understand the challenges Kite have faced in the past and why they used LIMA for the services for the backup solution. So, Stephen, I think it'd be a good idea to give the attendees a brief overview about Kite Packaging as a business and your role at Kite. So, over to you.
Yes, no problem. Hi all, I hope we're all keeping well. So yes, Kite Packaging, we're a packaging distributor, very similar to LIMA. We are in our 20th year in business and we have circa 300 employees in the business. Head office is in Coventry. We have 7 regional distribution centres around the UK, and those distribution centres service large corporate customers in that chosen region. We're based as far north as Gateshead and as far south as Portsmouth. Our head office primarily is made up of several internal teams that support our online e-commerce platform, which is kitepackaging.co.uk, and that is now the main driving force and engine room of the business. Within the last 12 months, we've seen unprecedented demand for packaging as with COVID, everybody moves from the high street to buying online. There's been huge demand in the background. We've seen a huge surge. So yeah, the requirement for a solid backup solution to support the online side of the business is paramount. So my role within the business is to oversee all IT services provided into the business, provide IT guidance and strategy to the management team, and with a view to implementing secure, scalable, future-proof IT systems for the business as a whole.
Okay, that's brilliant. So they're keeping you busy by the sound of it. COVID's been good for your business then?
Very much so, yes.
Is that showing any signs of slowing down, or does it continue to ramp up?
It's just on an upward turn, which isn't a bad problem to have. So since the first lockdown back in March, it was a very uncertain time because of the sector we're in and what we do. Things just escalated from that point onwards and haven't stopped, to be honest.
Right. Okay. So just for the benefit of the attendees, how long has Kite been working with LIMA for, Stephen?
Well, I've been at Kite for 10 years and the relationship was already in place. So I believe it's circa 13 years there's been a relationship there.
All right, so long-standing, yeah. So just for the benefit of those on the webinar, again, obviously you had a previous solution in place before you picked the backup solution with LIMA. Can you just give the guys a brief overview of what that solution was and the challenges you faced and why it didn't work, etc.?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so it was quite a rudimentary solution. So we had a snap mirror relationship from our data volumes. So from Coventry, what we would do on an evening, we would do a data sync to LIMA Cloud for what we would class as our tier 1 data. Now, it was CIF shares and VM volumes, but it was very much just the raw data. So that brought challenges with it. So although we had a copy of data offsite, it was in a very raw format. So it was difficult to extract the application data from those backups. We had very little insight into the monitoring and performance of those backup jobs, a very heavy reliance on LIMA for feedback on how those jobs were running. And we had unknown recovery point and recovery time objectives, which was a big worry for me. We didn't know the timelines to potentially bring that data back online.
Okay, so a number of challenges you faced there. So what if you were to give one reason for actually changing to the new solution, what would that be, Steve? What was that reason?
I think we were in a situation where we were leaving ourselves exposed. So yes, we had a backup solution in place, but we were making a lot of assumptions of how well that backup solution could bring us back online if such a need arose. So although we had the data there, we didn't have the wraparound virtual infrastructure that was needed to bring that data back online. And it was also quite a bandwidth hungry method. So the data couldn't be throttled. If I came in on a morning at 8 o'clock, I knew if I'd had an issue with my backups and they were overrunning because half the business were calling me to say there was a performance degradation on bandwidth usage. and it was difficult for me to have an insight into how those jobs had ran, what had caused the delays. So although there was something there was a lot of work that needed to be done to improve it.
Right, so lots of challenges there. So what was the process for did you have to write a business case to take to the board? You know, I work with a lot of customers, and a lot of customers will know how much it costs them per hour when they're down, with downtime assistance, etc. Was that part of your decision-making process?
Yeah, so we would do with you know, help from LIMA, we were doing a bit of a big picture architectural redesign. So we were moving away from what was our server location in our head office in Coventry and moving to a data centre up in Manchester. And as part of that process, we took a look at the backup solution and decided to you know, take the leap to Veeam and take advantage of all the benefits it could offer us.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, just a brief summary of the positive outcomes from the project for you and for the business too. You know, were you able to bid for new bits of business as a consequence of implementing this new solution? I know it's happened with customers of mine in the past. It's allowed them to bid for bigger and better contracts. Does that happen with you guys as an example?
Yes, it did. So we found ourselves in a very good place for backup and replication. We had a very solid foundation there, which, you know, we're still building upon. Now, the way that Veeam works, it's very much application aware, so we can drill into Active Directory, SQL. If you've got on-premise Exchange, you can drill into mailboxes. If you're using Office 365, you can, you know, interrogate mailboxes down that route as well. It's very granular. It's quite an intuitive interface, so you don't need much of a skill set to work your way through it on the console. So for us, it was a massive leap for business continuity and disaster recovery. So in terms of benefits to the business as a whole, you know, there was stakeholder approval and you know, they were happy of what we'd implemented, and there was some confidence there. Now we were in a good place in restoring data, and it certainly assists with business tenders, because there was a time whereby on a business tender there was possibly 2 or 3 questions in relation to what your IT services were and how you can recover from data loss. Whereas on business tenders these days, it tends to be 2 or 3 pages rather than paragraphs. And customers and suppliers want a very, you know, detailed explanation in what you can do as a business if you find yourself you've been hit with ransomware. How quickly can you get back online and support their needs? So yes, it ticked all those boxes. And for me personally, you know, a lot of accountability rested on my shoulders as the head of IT. So to deliver those solutions back to the business and say, yes, we can tick all these boxes, it was a big peace of mind for myself as well.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's been a lot of outcomes for the IT department as a whole, and obviously the business in terms of being able to bid for new contracts, new personnel. Has there been any other outcomes from the project that's benefited the business that might be worthwhile sharing with the audience that guys here mightn't have thought about if they're trying to prepare a business case to get a solution, I guess, approved in their business? Has there been any other?
I think yes. So now we've moved to with Veeam, and we have been for a number of years now, and you know, backup as a solution, you know, Veeam is always evolving, and there was a time whereby you would use a backup for pretty much if it was used for if you had a hardware failure or you got some data corrupted. Now those issues still remain, but they've pretty much been superseded by ransomware, supply chain attacks, insider threats. So Veeam encompasses all of these elements and offers a solution to combat all of those. And also, it's the product is evolving. We want to start replicating data back to our DR site through the day. So Veeam as a solution, they're working on that in some of the upcoming releases. So they're working towards continuous data protection. So you can trickle your live servers back across to your DR site during the day, throttled, you know, possibly on a 15-30-minute delay from production. And also there's some improvements being made in Office 365 with Teams integration in the next release. So it's all parts of the feature set which you're not going to pay more for if you're already, you know, licensed with Veeam. It's just enhancements to the solution that's already there, which for us is great.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's all the questions from me, Stephen. I hope the attendees have got some insight out of our customer.
Attending everyone. as I said at the start, it's part of a series, and next is disaster recovery. So we'll be sending out some information around that in particular webinar, but also we'll be reaching out to you this week just to find out really, one, was it an informative session and what did you take away from it? Two, how can we maybe develop these sessions further so that we are delivering information that you really want to know? And three, is there something that is backup something maybe we can have a chat about and start that engagement? So we'll reach out to you this week and have conversations. But thank you very much for joining, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.